Hi, this is Tim Roberts. I'm the head brewer at Yards Brewing Company from Philadelphia.
Hey all, Amanda here, and welcome to entry 74 of Great Beer Adventure. Today we wrap up our little road trip series with a stop in Philly. I didn't realize it until I took a good look at the beers that Yards sells, but I actually came across this brewery about a year ago. I have a friend, Liz Covart, that does an amazing podcast called Ben Franklin's World. So I pick up on interesting pieces and places that I see Ben Franklin, and I share them with her. Well, Yards actually has a beer with Ben Franklin on the label. Other than this little piece of trivia, I knew nothing of the brewery. I stopped by unannounced, but Tim was still kind enough to tell me their origin story.
The brewery was started by Tom Kehoe and John Bovitt in 1994. They had been home brewers in the dorm room, and then went out and got a little bit of a professional experience under Steve Parks, I think. And I'm forgetting the name of the brewery exactly back then. It had changed a lot of things. It might have been called Fordham back then. Anyways, this was prior to 94, and then they were first licensed in 94, I believe, and they had their first batch in early 95, I believe. And this is our Yards' fourth location. It was in Manayunk, Roxborough, Kensington, and then I joined Yards 8 years ago when we came here, which is on Delaware Ave in Philadelphia, and we're now in the planning stages of our fifth location, which will be hopefully up on Spring Garden Street. We make 8 year-round beers, and 3 of them are ales of the Revolution series, which are the Thomas Jefferson Ale, the George Washington Porter, the Tavern Spruce, and then our 5 other year-round beers are Philadelphia Pale Ale, an IPA, a Love Stout, which is either nitro on draft or carbonated in the bottle, ESA, which is the first beer that the brewery ever started on, and I think it was the only beer that they brewed for a period of time. It's sort of a strong bitter style with a little bit of an American touch. Brawler's a malt-forward, session-style, English-style beer. And we're in 5 states. We're in Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Delaware, Maryland, and Virginia. We're only in 2 complete states, which are Delaware and New Jersey. Not even all of Pennsylvania. The furthest our beer is shipped is actually Pittsburgh at this point.
Unannounced, I wanted to keep things short and sweet and not take too much time from Tim. But I had to know, what was Tim's first beer memory?
My first beer memory, I'm going to give you a hybrid of my first really inappropriate beer story. Was I was 14 and drank 4 St. Pauli girls one night. And so that was my first beer that I ever had. And then in college, I had an epiphany beer story, I guess. So my epiphany beer story is, so I discovered beer inappropriately young, and then I also discovered craft beer real young. So I'm 43 now, and so we're talking about in 1993 or so, when I was, I guess, maybe 20 or 21, started to discover good beer. My first case of beer I ever bought with craft beer was Stouts, Fat Dog Stout, which I still love to this day. I think Stouts is absolutely an underrated brewery. They are not underrated amongst brewers. I'd like to make that clear in case anyone from Stouts hears that. We all love the beer, but I think a lot of people just don't know them as well. But anyways, I liked craft beer, but I was still a cheap college student, so I was splitting a case of Milwaukee's Best Light with 3 other guys, or maybe even 2 other guys. And we finished the beer, not really very buzzed and having suffered through that terrible beer. And I said, I'm done. I'm not buying that lousy beer again. So I never looked back and never bought bad beer again.
Thank you very much to the lovely hospitality of Tim and the entire Yards establishment. For links, be sure to head over to greatbeeradventure.com/074. Thank you to you listeners for joining me on this adventure. Let's connect over on Instagram real soon, @GreatBeerAdventure. Join me next week for a trip up to Bangor, Maine to have a chat about something very special that they have brewing up there. If you all are fabulous co-adventurers would like to support the show, check out our Patreon page. For less than the cost of a beer, you can show us some love. Go to greatbeeradventure.com/support. If you want to see even more from our adventures, follow us on Instagram at Great Beer Adventure. And be sure to subscribe to the show. That way, you won't miss a thing. Great Beer Adventure is part of the Great Pint Society. Cheers.